This is Katie, co-host of Coffee with Keith and Katie. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Ryan Pierce, host of Completely Serious here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Completely Serious, where we talk about sports and have fun with great guests. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Completely Serious. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from 2 Timothy 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Good morning, welcome to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. I'm Baxter Colburn. Thanks for being here this morning as we get ready for another week here on Verse of the Day. A quick reminder, the show is available on Apple Podcasts and wherever you can find your podcasts. Have you ever gone through life and known that something just doesn't seem right, or just something seems like how you never had pictured it, basically? Well, I feel like it's a challenge for us because we as Christians know that there's going to be a lot of different things we go through during our life. And 2 Timothy 4:7 is one of those verses that is something we kind of can use as a reflection tool to kind of see whether or not we're headed on the right path, the right direction, because we're all gonna pass away. We're all going to move on from this life, this world, to the next. And we as Christians know our destiny, and those that are unbelievers obviously know where they're going to head, whether they know that or not, or choose to believe that or not. And this verse is very common for folks to use as kind of this judging point, this idea of where am I, how am I doing in my life. And I think it's great because it shows, and Timothy does this as well too. We see this the way it's written here in 2 Timothy is it's kind of towards the tail end of the author's life, and he'll say, "Hey, I've fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I have kept the faith through all the trials, through all the tribulations, through the good times, the bad times. I have finished this race of life, and I have kept the faith in God. I've kept my faith in our Savior, Jesus Christ." And that, I think, is so important for us to keep in mind, because we see this all the time throughout the Bible. We see this all the time through real life. And not that the Bible wasn't real life, but sometimes people have a hard time distinguishing between a book and Christian history, even though it is real ancient history, not just Christian history. It is just real documented history. And just our 21st century world today. But we have to keep our faith in the good and the bad, through the divorce, through the successful graduation, through the big job promotion, through getting fired, through every trial and tribulation. It is so important for us to keep our eyes and our heart and our mind fixed on Jesus in every phase of life. If life was perfect, there would be no sin. And if there were no sin, we wouldn't need Jesus. And that isn't at all the world we live in, and we each know that. Our world is going to end. Our world is going to come to a close at some point. We don't know when, but it is going to do so. Some might argue it might be coming sooner than later, depending on how much you follow the world and all of the news and politics and everything else that's going on right now. But how are you preparing? How are you running your race right now, right? That's the big thing we need to look at this morning as a reflection tool, is how are you running your race right now? How good do you feel about the fight that you're in? How tired are you in your race? How determined are you to keep pressing forward? Are you even still running your race? Have you given up on your race and you're just walking, or you're doing whatever Maybe you're not even in your quote-unquote race anymore because you mentally just didn't think you could do it anymore. So now you've just kind of pulled out of that race and you're just trying to just get by and do life until it's time for you to die. The sad part is I know people like that, and it bothers me and it worries me because I never want to fall into that trap. I never want to be a part of that mindset, that thinking, because that's just not for me. Granted, we're all going to get pushed and pulled and tempted to want to sleep in longer, or to, it's not even a bad thing. Sleeping is not a bad thing. That's a bad example. But you get what I'm saying. They're like, we're going to get pulled and tempted to do things that we know are not great, or we know that are not the best things for us at that time. And it's how we finish the race. It's not how you start the race, it's how you finish the race. Nobody remembers whether or not you got off the starting blocks great or not. Everybody remembers how you finished the race. From a sports analogy, nobody cares about the first basket scored in a game. People care about the last basket that's scored because that could ultimately win you the game, win you the championship. Nobody cares about the first kick of the football on kickoff. Everybody cares about what the final score is. How does your team do? Did you catch that winning touchdown? Nobody cares about the first pitch in baseball. Everybody cares about that last pitch. Did you hit that walk-off home run to win the game? And so on and so on and so on and so on. It's very important that you start the race strong, but it is more vitally important that you finish the race on a strong, faithful, devoted note to our Savior, Jesus Christ. No one knows when their race is going to be done. Nobody knows exactly what their race is even going to fully look like. Some people's race, good for them, is a nice straight path. And they just run it and life is good. But for many of us, myself included, your race is going to probably look a little different, a little jagged. You're going to be going through the Rockies. You're going to be going up and down, all around, inside, outside, underground, above, on the top. There's really no clear path. And sometimes you even lose the path for a little bit as you're running your race and you're just still running aimlessly. You're like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be right now, but I'm going to just keep running. And I'm sure there's more than one of you out there that can relate to that. So as you get ready for your week, as your Monday is here in front of you, I want you to do some self-reflection. Where am I in my race? And am I still on my running path? Am I off my running path? And if so, regardless, how can I keep focused and keep leaning in to where I'm supposed to be in my life? It's amazing what you can find out about yourself when you just take a couple minutes to do some self-reflection, or just write a good reflection question down on a piece of paper and say, hey, I'm going to take 5-10 minutes and just jot down my response to this. I did that last night, did some journaling. It was amazing, and I'm really glad I did it. So I encourage you to do that as well, too. It's a great way to kind of keep your mind focused and just kind of get down on paper some of those loose thoughts that are flying around in your head. Keep fighting the good race, friends. Keep running. And most importantly, finish strong in your faith and in your journey for our Savior, Jesus Christ.
You've been listening to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Verse of the Day. I hope you'll go and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Play Music as well. A new episode comes out every Monday through Friday. You won't want to miss it. More information about Verse of the Day can be found by heading over to thephmedia.com.